film sucks. Indie film sucks. It's the Indie Film Sucks podcast. Yeah.
Coming at you from the mean streets of St. Louis, from a basement on South Broadway, the Indie Film Sucks podcast.
Why?
Indie Film still sucks.
It sucks.
Never doesn't
It
suck.
sucks. Oh, who's that voice in the room?
Is that Brock Roberts?
Is he back off assignment?
Cheers.
Back from assignment.
Back from assignment.
How'd it go, Brock?
You guys missed me or what?
Yeah, we did.
We missed
You're like the third leg.
Yeah,
Oh,
you're like a third leg on a four-leg stool.
Well, yeah, I've been out doing some shit. I'm a pretty busy guy. So is the movie finished?
Whoa, hold on.
We get it done? We ready to go?
Before we get into that, hey, Brock, you know what's going to happen. Grega, what's your suck?
Come on, man. Fuck. Motherfucker's been gone. He's got plenty of time to think of that shit.
That is true.
Ask him.
Okay, all right. So
I'm sorry. Brock, what's your suck?
people think that you're lucky when you have a little bit of success in your life, right? So I had somebody come over to my house not too long ago, and I don't live in a mansion or anything. I have a decent-sized house. It's pretty nice, but it's nothing crazy. You know, it's something you can see just about anywhere. I'm like, man, you're lucky, man. I'm like, well, what? He goes, man, you got a nice house. You guys got nice cars. Your family's cool. I'm like, oh, thanks. But honestly, it kind of pissed me off a little bit. I understand what he's trying to say. I'm not lucky. I bust my fucking ass.
No, everything you
every
have.
day.
Everything you have worked your ass off
everything
for.
we have, thank you, but we all bust our ass. And there's a saying that goes, you know, the harder I work, the luckier I get. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And people think that, you know, we're lucky because we get to make movies. Fuck.
Unlucky.
It is hard, and it's not luck at all. We bust our independent filmmakers in general. Hell, big-time filmmakers, they bust their ass to get movies done. You make your own luck, I guess, if you want to call it that.
No.
So there's my suck.
That's
I
well
agree.
said. Well said. Hi, Greg.
My suck is when all of your carefully laid plans fall apart and you have to come up with something else. When you have, and this has happened multiple times, when you have an idea for your next production and you put a lot of work, sometimes years of work into something, and for whatever reason, it falls apart. You know, investors back out, you lose the money, actors back out, whatever happens.
COVID,
you lose, and this happened before COVID.
Right.
sure.
There was a feature film early on, 88mm Productions, we were going to do. You know, we shot an investor teaser for it and everything, and then we just couldn't pull everything together that had to be pulled together. I'd like to say that it's money, but I was just thinking about Kubrick for years, wanted to make a film about Napoleon.
Okay.
Ridley Scott has, I think they're wrapping up with Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix, yeah.
And I love Ridley Scott, love Joaquin Phoenix. I'm really looking forward to seeing this movie. That was a thing that lots of people tried to do. It just fell apart.
Right.
And that's a thing about filmmaking at all levels. It's kind of built on a foundation of sand, and it's kind of a house of cards. I guess maybe luck does play a part into it because you never know when what you're doing and what you're planning for isn't going to be there. That's a sucky thing. I mean, a lot of times, until you're done with the film, you're still worried about, am I going to get done with it?
That's a good point.
So even from the inception to completion, it's one long worry. Yeah, that's my suck.
All right. Yeah, you guys thought I was going to play off maybe what you guys said, but I'm not.
Oh, you got a thought?
Yeah.
Let's hear
I've had
this.
A couple of original
Let's hear
thoughts
this,
here in the
Chris.
last couple of podcasts. So, and I probably discussed on this a little bit, but we always talk about time. Time's been a big suck for me now with balancing the time. And if you put it in an independent film sense, do we have time to do everything possible in the time that isn't planned by you, right? Because a lot of stuff in independent film isn't planned by you. You have to do it when it comes up.
Based on circumstance.
Yes, and you have to do it when the time's available for most people, or you have to do it because you have to get something out by a certain time. So I've been really struggling with lately is the calendar aspect of it, and go, man, when Red Night is done, what kind of time do I have to budget for that and what's it going to look like? It's just the suck of trying to manage everything else outside of independent film with managing within independent film to make both work at the exact same time, if I can keep using that word.
Yeah.
Just the unknowns and trying to put things on the calendar of scheduling and that kind of stuff. So that's kind of, I don't know. And you were asking Brock going, is the movie done? I was waiting for 2 weeks and now we're done like this. So, hey guys, we are really close, right?
Yeah, so what is taking so fucking long with this thing? What's going on here?
Well,
That's what I get asked.
And I think I asked the same thing, Brock, is not understanding the process as much as you guys both do. But I think tonight, why don't we just walk through the entire process of what we consider filmmaking?
I was explaining to Kelly, my girlfriend, just the other night. I was talking to her about the process. I said it always starts, for me, and I can't speak for everyone else, it starts with an idea, an overall concept. And I'm always excited, like, oh, this idea is great, right? And then from there, I'll start kind of working through it in my head. Like the initial idea is, I have tons of initial ideas, and they're awesome. But then I start thinking about, okay, what is the feasibility of making this into a story? Not even making it into a movie. How can I take this idea and make it into a story that makes sense? And sometimes, no matter what I do, I can't. I'll have an initial idea and it just goes nowhere.
Sure.
But if I have the initial idea and that works its way into a story that makes sense, I will write out, eventually, I'll do the outline for that story.
Okay.
Which is still a long way from being scripted. But it's like if I can go from point A to point B and it all makes sense, like, okay, this can make a compelling story, then that'll move on to the next stage.
Is that kind of like a treatment? Is that what you'd call it? Or a scriptment?
You're far away from that. When do you get to treatment?
Is it just an outline or is it a treatment?
It's for me, it's just an outline.
Okay.
After I have the initial concept, and if I like it, and I mean, I have at any given time, 10 ideas floating around in my head, and some of these I've had for years, and I haven't done anything other than I have it cataloged. Okay, I want to make a story about this.
Right.
Right, but I don't go any further than that. Once I pick something, it's usually based on, okay, what can we reasonably do? That's how Red Night at Skye'S came about, because COVID killed Cruiser, so I took about a month to just be depressed, and then I thought, what could we reasonably do? And I came up with the story that it's one location, and it's in the pawn shop, and blah, blah, blah.
Right, you took everything into consideration in writing that part of the story.
But even then, it took a long time to go from that initial concept to a finished idea.
Okay, so let's take Red Night and put it in context. What date was that where you said, I'm going to start this process?
I wrote the initial concept for Red Night in November of 2019.
Okay.
Because we were going to go into production on Cruiser in 2020, and then I had the idea that I jotted down.
Okay, so that's where that came from, and you're like, I got to move this up to the forefront because I can adapt it to our current situation.
Yeah, once Cruiser was shut down, it took me a good 6-7 months to take the idea that I had for Red Night to turn it into a script.
Okay, and this is the process, right? And even when we're trying to drive a new project because we have got a cast.
That's half a year.
Yeah,
right there, just in getting the first script.
Well, because for me, for instance, there was a scene in Red Night that was in there from the beginning of my idea.
Right.
And I had this in my head that this scene is in here and it has to be this way and it has to take place at this time.
And you built around there?
I couldn't get past this scene because we have to go from point A to point B in the story.
Right.
And I could not figure out a way to get past this scene. And I was talking to someone about it and they said, what if that scene doesn't happen? What if the characters go to the situation and it's not what they expect? And then once I heard that opened up a whole new different world for me. So that scene that I was stuck on forever, I took that out, and then it changed things dramatically.
Okay, so it allowed you to get through that writing process. How many drafts, if you want to say?
Oh, I don't know.
No, but even sending it off
it's
to people who independently look at drafts, right, and taking those ideas. That's all. So we're not even pre-production yet.
So the way it works for me is I'll write, the initial concept, and I'll write the first draft. I'll try to pound that out, and then I'll go back and revise in the second draft. The third draft is maybe when I'll show people to get their feedback. Hey, what do you think about this? And then maybe by the 8th or 9th draft, that's when it gets sent off to the professional screenplay readers.
I highly advise doing that to young screenwriters. It was good feedback. I mean, that's the first time I saw the feedback. And it's interesting because we would 3, right?
Yeah.
And you can take the subjects they all agree upon, throw those out because you know you nailed those. And then you look at the ones where 2 or 3 of them scored you lower, I guess, if you want to call it a score.
Yeah.
And then you can say, are they right or wrong in this case? But it allows you to re-look back and say, am I missing a plot point or am I missing this? So that was interesting for me to see that as a producer.
Yeah, that's the most important thing is to get someone else's feedback on your story. I think it's worth every penny. Even if you get the information and you don't like it, you disagree with it, it's like, okay, at least someone else who is not related to me in any way, they're a theoretically completely neutral professional. I paid them money to read this script, and they said, okay, here's what I think. Here's what works, here's what doesn't.
Yeah.
Very helpful.
Yep, I agree.
And sometimes you hear the same thing from the 3 different people.
Yeah.
That don't even know each other.
No, that's what I said.
yeah.
You take those comments and go, wow, they all said the same thing.
You take those to heart.
Yes, you know you nailed it.
Yeah, then to get that back and do another draft or 2, sometimes incorporating their ideas, sometimes like, I don't really agree with that. But whatever. So I think by the time we went into production on Red Night, we were maybe draft 13, 14.
So
Like
pre-production or production?
By the time we went to production.
Okay.
And then, of course, when you get in production, it changes again.
No, I mean, yeah, but those are changes on the fly.
So
right?
the working script is script number in the teens?
Yeah, somewhere
Okay.
in the teens.
All right.
Okay, so
and
now
that's a year, right?
Yeah, so
yeah.
what is that time frame? Because we got a script now. We don't have a cast. We don't have a crew. We don't.
No.
Are we working on things simultaneously, or are we waiting for the script?
I think we were working on things simultaneously.
Okay.
And then when I wrote it, I mean, I had certain actors in mind.
So we started asking actors.
Yeah, I mean, Brock was one. I wrote.
we knew that.
I wrote the character for Brock, but then there were other characters I wrote specifically for either actors I had worked with before or actors that came highly regarded that I had wanted to work with. And some of the people that I wrote parts for either couldn't commit or they did commit and they dropped out or whatever, so then I had to recast. And there were some parts we had to go like 3 or 4 actors deep into the bench.
Yeah, because by this time we know our shooting schedule is set.
Yeah.
So we've already set our shooting schedule for these dates. We know we're going to shoot 2 weeks and a couple weekends. So we already know that part.
Well, just to back up just a hair, though. So after we got the script going and we started pre-production, which let's explain to them what pre-production actually is.
For us,
real
at
quick.
least. So when did we start pre-production in the script writing phase?
Well, in pre-production, what it actually is well, it's locking down locations, getting actors, getting the DP, getting your crew, the rest of your cast, and the money.
Yeah.
So I just spit out a bunch of things, and every little thing I just said takes time to get finished and developed and get ready to go. So it takes a lot of time to raise the money, to find the right actors, to find the DP and the correct crew. So that quick thing I said is a whole lot of work.
Oh, yeah.
So how long did that take from, that's what I'm trying to lay this out, from the time we started in late 19,
well,
to 2023, where we are today telling this story?
It was about a year.
All right, so Brock, you just rattled off a bunch of stuff about pre-production. So when did we start? When did that start in the script writing process? 6 months in, 8 months in?
Probably 6, 8 months in.
Right, and we started with what, locations probably, because we started knowing when we had to try to start driving some locations.
I think we started looking for locations and assembling cast.
Yeah.
Okay, those were our first 2.
Yeah.
So when was the importance of the crew though come into play? Because Brock, you rattled off about
kind of about the same time. I
mean, it was all roughly simultaneous.
Okay, so that all kind of,
it's a lot of work just trying to do it all at the same time to expedite things, because it does take a long time. If we just tried to reach out for one actor, wait for them, the next actor, then now we have to find our DP. It just take way too long. So.
Gotcha. No, because I was all new in all this.
Yeah.
So I was like taking your lead. You guys were basically giving me directions, saying, hey, you need to call this person. You need to try to drive this. Or, hey, these are the locations we're looking for. And we put this big spreadsheet together.
Yeah, we got the cast before most of the crew, because the people we had trouble locking down was an effects person. Because we had one guy locked in. You always go with your gut. My gut was like, this guy's going to gonna bail or flake.
No. It was interesting because there was some concerns about COVID and some other stuff, and which were respectful. And I remember talking to him on the phone,
Yeah.
and just having that conversation. And I'm glad we went with who we went with.
Yeah.
and it all worked out for the best.
It did.
And
But
again, Brock, luck.
But the RFX guy was awesome.
Yeah, no, Zach.
Zach Elston, yeah, he killed it. And he actually worked on our Cruiser investor teaser.
He did. He killed it there too.
But the other departments we had difficulty filling were wardrobe.
Wardrobe for sure.
And Kathleen just was
Crushed it.
so awesome.
And a lot of people came in at the last minute
Yeah.
to just kind of drive the production side of things.
And our production designer,
That's
production
who I was gonna bring
designer.
up.
who was the same production designer from Oscar Tangle Hellwater.
Okay. Nathan's, yeah.
Yeah, Scott Brahan. Again, just a guy that, because we could not lock down a production designer.
He made shit look real.
So now, when did we fire back up?
October of 2021.
So you had to shut down Cruiser. Then you wrote Red Night. We got everything in place. Had to shut it down officially for COVID
Yes.
because it didn't make sense going forward, and nobody was making anything at that time.
No.
So now we're 2021.
Yes, October 2021 when we started shooting, and we, had all the locations and most of the actors. Again, I know we talked about that before already, but
When did we make the decision to fire back up though? What was that? That's what I'm trying to think back to on that time frame to go.
well, what
we feel
what
like we're
happened
comfortable
was
now.
our DP Stanzi was he still elected to shoot for us in the same time frame a year later. I know we talked about that too, but so we decided to keep those the same time frame and just same shooting schedule a year later.
But we were able to keep most of the same locations. We talked about this in other podcasts.
Yeah.
A lot of the cast, we made our decisions to do certain things. So now we're shooting. So 2019, 2021, we're finally launching this bastard. Well, shooting's easy. Everybody understands. We had a schedule. We stuck to it.
Yep, 16 days. Bam, bam, bam.
16 days. So
Knocked it out really quick.
I guess that's the point of this whole podcast for me, and just even bringing up the subject is 16 days to shoot the movie.
In 2 years.
And 2 years to get those 16 days.
Thank you very much, because of everything that happened. I guess that was a long way to get to this point.
And then think about this 2 years, 16 days to get about 90 minutes.
yeah.
It's insane. It's
Yeah.
fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I think that's important for people to understand is you never lost the vision. You
But we're just
adjusted.
so goddamn lucky, aren't we?
Yes, yeah. Especially you, Brock.
Because, I mean, think about that. Rhinelander World War II film was 3 years,
1,000 days.
1,000 days
Yeah.
to get 87 minutes
Yeah.
worth of film.
No, that's what I guess I was trying to get my point across with this. So now we wrap. Everybody's excited. Big rap party, right? That's what everybody wants. Get the rap party.
We did have a nice rap
did have
party.
one. Yeah.
I know, but that's what everybody wants, right?
And let me put a shout out to that party real quick, because we did have a really nice rap party. Almost everybody involved who could make it did. Chris made a nice tribute video. Is kind of like a thank you to everybody.
Yeah.
And,
No, Shane put a nice video together
tribute.
too.
Our
And then-
behind-the-scenes guy,
Yeah.
Shane Kell.
We ate well, we drank well, we had a good time. And I know whenever we have our red carpet premiere or whatever, we'll have another good time. But we had a good rap party, and that was a year ago.
Right. Everybody's like, oh, the rap party. But from being behind the scenes and being in production and seeing every single step along the way, it was, we got to get this over to Jeff. We didn't have Jeff hired.
Yeah. Well, here's another thing I just thought of before we went into production. You guys remember what we did in the summer of 2021?
I don't think I can talk about it here, Chris. No,
We did our backyard film series.
the backyard film series.
When we showed all of our feature films in my backyard,
Yep.
Good.
that led up right until we started production.
Yes. We were trying to drive people and bring people in and do certain things
Yes.
to get excited about it.
So we had our summer series, and that was born of me and Brock were talking, like, we've made all these movies.
Yeah.
We haven't seen or screened some of these in years. We should just, like, come over here, drink a few beers, and watch our movies.
Mm-hmm.
And that turned into, well, why don't we show them to people, have a few beers, have some chips, have some laughs, and watch our films.
Yeah, next thing we know, we're borrowing a big screen. We got speakers from somebody that you knew,
My
Brock.
brother, yeah, DJ system.
Yeah, And what was the first one? 25, 30 people came out. Yeah, it was fun.
A lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
And then last year we showed all of our short films.
So now we're wrapped, and we're still deciding on an editor.
There were like 3 or 4 choices for editor, and they're all good choices, good editors. Like Stanzi was in the running to edit, and this guy Aaron Crozier, this person, we never spoke to her about it, but Hannah Radcliffe was someone that
That we were thinking about.
I wanted to approach.
All of them would have been great.
No, because we needed the right person for our film.
Well,
That's
we
just
got
like we
lucky
picked
with who we got.
Stanzi because we knew he was going to be perfect for our film.
Right.
We knew the editor had to be the right person for our film
and
too.
Stanzi recommended Jeff Wedding, and I called up Jeff because Jeff shot second camera on the film, so he was familiar with it.
Yeah.
And I did not know that he was an editor.
No, I didn't either, but he had put that movie out. I can't think of the name of it now. With
Tennessee Gothic.
Tennessee Gothic. That won a bunch of awards. He directed, wrote, and edited that himself. Yep.
When Stanzi was bringing his crew in to work, he saw him bringing up Jeff Wedding. I was like, oh man, is this guy going to think
what's this going to cost?
Is he going to think we're a bunch of assholes? Is he going to think, oh, well, I don't want to work for these jerks? And, couldn't have been a nicer guy.
No,
he's a stand-up dude.
we got the movie done, and we had considered editors, right? In the process, we were thinking about certain things, but we didn't have anybody hired yet. Again, lucky.
No, well, because we had to raise money for it.
I know.
And I cannot say this strongly enough. I did not want to edit the film. But I was like, if we can't raise any money, if we have no resources at the last extremity, I can, in fact, edit the film.
No, in all seriousness, we didn't want you to edit it either.
No.
Because we knew you needed that separation. Just like we discussed, you needed separation as a director.
Yeah.
On the film, you did not. We needed another vision. We needed your vision to be picked up by somebody else.
We definitely did, and I know Chris Grega, you made a trailer, and then gave that trailer to Jeff and said, "This is kind of what I did. Let's see what you can do." And he made his own trailer that we showed everybody at that party, and he crushed it.
Oh yeah.
Well, we stopped him in the middle of his editing.
That's right. Well, the only reason he actually made the trailer is because we had people already interested in our movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we needed a trailer, and Chris, you said you'd like to have Jeff do it, not your trailer.
Yeah.
And was like, all right,
because I
see
said
what
mine's not good enough, and I knew it wasn't.
Yes, because that's what he was focusing on 100% of the time, and that's what his role was, to edit.
Can you tell people what editing actually is?
I mean, essentially, what at its basic form, you take the raw footage that you shot and you assemble it into a film and a story that makes logical sense. At its basic form, anybody can do that. But it takes a real trained eye and a person with a real penchant for editing to draw the very best performance out of sometimes frames. I'm a pretty competent editor myself, but I don't think you should edit your own stuff if you
No,
can.
you're too close to it. You've seen it too much. I'm glad this is the process we went through. I'm glad we had enough money to raise to hire Jeff, and he's gone above and beyond what we talked about it before. You got to wear many hats. You got to go above and beyond for an independent film, and this is his film as much as it is ours.
Oh, 100%.
And he has owned it, and that's why this part has taken so long, because we keep coming up with things to make it crisper, cleaner, better, right? Because he's even going back going, hey, I think I can do a little bit more here. Cool, man.
Well, he came up to St. Louis last November, I think it was, because there was a part in the movie. It just I realized, like, we need a bridge here.
Yeah.
We need a scene to fill this gap, and you don't 100% need it, but if you have it, it's going to make it better. And talked to Jeff, he agreed completely. Came up, he shot it.
He was telling me the date, and he comes up and shoots it.
Yeah, I ran sound for it.
Yeah.
And it makes the film that much better.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get every editor to do that.
You're not going to get hardly any editor to do
No,
that.
you talked about luck, Brock, and we didn't get lucky. We knew what we had, and we learned to wait, and we learned to be patient through our whole process.
Yes.
And we're even being patient now, and this is why the movie isn't out. So this is what I wanted to try to sum up tonight was 2019 to this, a year and something to write, pull the cast together, pause for COVID, and shoot. 16 days to shoot.
So then you got a finished movie cut. Then you got to do what? Color correction to make everything flow. You can talk about that. You have more knowledge about that than me. Then you got to drop in the score and music and in background noises and
Yeah,
just
Foley
clean
work.
up the sound. There's so much that goes into the editing process.
So whatever time that is, you can say it takes a lot of time. Whatever that is, that's relative as a statement.
That's the mistake that young filmmakers make. That's the mistake I've made, is you're rushing to get it done. Again, you have one chance to make a first impression.
Yeah.
And if that film is not 100% complete, that is what people are going to take away from it. They're going to take away your crappy sound. Even though it's not the final sound, they're going to take away your crappy color. And you can explain it all beforehand, and they'll say, oh, yeah, I can totally picture it. But they can't. They won't. And they're going to use it against you also.
Right. If that's the picture and that's your budget and you're done and you don't have any more resources, it's okay to be finished with a project.
It is.
That's okay, but that's the learning process to understand.
All movies have so many layers on it before the viewer sees it.
Yeah.
There's many film groups on Facebook I'm a part of, and there's one, it's like Film Everything St. Louis, something like that. And there's a young filmmaker on there in production right now, or they're starting production in a week, and they still don't have everything locked down. He's like trying to lock down a police car, asking, hey, does anyone know where I can get a cop car? And I just want to say, man, just wait. Don't start making the film until you have those elements in place.
If it's key to the plot.
Yeah, if it's key to
Right,
the plot.
if you can't rewrite it or do something, but if it's all based around this cop car blowing up or whatever the hell you have, yeah, wait for the cop car.
Yeah, just wait. Don't start before you're ready, because then you're always going to be behind, and the final product is going to suffer for it. I know that excitement, I know that feeling. You just want to get into production, you just want to go. You just want to make it happen, but man, just slow down.
Well, I mean, the excitement of people seeing it's going to be exactly the same whether you do it early when it's not ready, or you do it when it's ready, right? It's only going to be that much of a better product. If you can wait. I get it if you can't, because you might have a DP that has to shoot on a certain time. But what you control is pre-production and post-production. That's what you control. You control those time frames, right? Kind of. Well, yeah. I mean, no. I'm saying when the movie is right, because shooting is yours. That's your time. Pre-production, if don't have the cop car, could you have waited, or could you alter it to do it? Don't shoot it when it's not ready, because you're always going to be thinking about going, shit, tomorrow's the cop car scene and we don't have the cop car, and it's always going to be stressful.
Yeah.
And then post-production is let those people do their craft. So unless you got a Christmas movie, which I think we heard James Dean talk about, going, hey, it could be ready for Christmas, but there's a Christmas every year that I'll put it out on.
Yeah.
What a great attitude for that. You know, when he was talking about that, he goes, I got this thing. Yeah, would I love it to be ready for this Christmas? That's my goal, to have it ready, because it's a timely movie. But there's a Christmas every year.
There's a rule of thumb with making movies. In Hollywood, it's pretty much 2 years. From script to screen, it's 2 years. That's basically that's what we went on, minus the COVID year.
Right.
Yeah.
The script. So we're kind of on track. People are asking me to, investors or just friends and family who are involved or just heard about us making a movie. They're like, when's it coming out? Fuck, it's been forever. I'm like, I know, but this is some hard shit. It takes time.
Listen to the podcast while you're waiting.
Yeah, listen to the podcast. You'll learn something.
We got content out there. Go buy a movie we just did, or I'll show it to you for free if you come over to my house.
Yeah, no, what's crazy is real quick. I gotta say, so over the last couple of weeks, I forget what episode this is. It doesn't even matter, but I've had people DM me that aren't even in the business. They're just friends or acquaintances, and literally every week, I get somebody saying, hey man, I'm not in the filmmaking business or nothing, but you posted on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and I checked it out, and this is some fun stuff. So I just want to say thanks to those people who, they're not even into filmmaking, but they think what we're doing is cool, and they like the inside baseball.
I've heard the same thing, though, honestly. A lot of people reach out to me and said, hey, I really like what you guys are doing. I like the insights, I like the stories.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people aren't film people, which I didn't. I expected our audience would mostly be filmmakers.
Red Night is not quite ready, and I hope that we got a big announcement coming, and then we can start diving into things that we want to talk about Red Night, and really start getting into the inside about that. But I thought tonight was a good opportunity to talk about it's not done yet, but here's the process of how it got to where it was, because holy crap, it is a lot of steps, a lot of things. Brock, you mentioned it tonight, how many things just go into pre-production, how many things go into post. That all takes time. If you can avoid not rushing one of those steps, you're going to have a better film for it. And if everybody could just slow down and just wait for the process to come, don't get anxious, that I think everybody's going to be better off for it. Your investors, us, as producers,
the audience who sees the movie.
Exactly, because everybody's going to still be excited when you launch that date, because they might say, "Oh, you're still working on that," but they're going to come see it, right? And if you tease it right and you promote it right and you do everything right, it'll be like you just did it yesterday, because people will forget that you did it so long ago. So
yeah, it's funny that we're talking about how long everything takes, and most people don't realize what it takes just to shoot, just to do one shot in one scene. The setup, the exhaustion you take just to get the location and the actors, the script, and the camera setup, the lighting. I mean, it's exhausting just to get one sentence out before the director even says action for the first time. It is an amazing amount of work that a lot of people have to put in.
yeah,
And then it's over pretty quick because 16 days goes pretty quick.
Oh yeah,
And we could have used 32.
those are the money days. I think the editor set, and I talked a little bit about the little money that you have to spend here and there about taxes and this and this. Yeah, that's the small stuff. It sucks. Those little nuances of bills, but the editor's fee's set. Certain things are set, but shooting, that's the money days.
It is, but nobody's going to give a shit. I just want them to go see the movie. I don't want them to think about all that little stuff. But some people love the nuance. That's why we're talking about this.
Yes.
And I just hope that when they see the film, they just watch it for the film itself, and then maybe think about, man, these guys, how hard it really is to make a movie. Maybe later. I want them to enjoy the movie at the time they're watching it.
money helps out everything, right? Money makes things smoother. Money makes things faster. But you know what? The process, even with money, is still not a fast process.
No, right. But I would put more money into extending your. If I had to choose what to do with my book a month, the shoot days. If you have a car crash or an explosion, that might take 3 days.
Yeah.
For just that minute 30 seconds of the movie, might take 3 days. I broke it down and goes, guys, it costs us X amount a day to shoot this movie. You're telling me I got 16 days. This is how much we got to spend each day.
Yeah.
And some fluctuate with who's on set with the actors and stuff like that, but you can break that out and average it out.
Yep.
Right. But here's how much food's going to cost per day, because this is how much food costs per person. So I thought that was important. If you do get money, that's where I would put it.
Yeah.
Is extending out the days, because you know your editor's price. You know how much it costs to get songs. You know how much it costs to get it with that kind of stuff. So anyway, I thought this was a good conversation. Brock, hope you had a good
I'm glad I came back.
assignment.
I'm glad I came back to save your asses.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
No, yes, exactly. Yeah, no,
Somebody had to do it.
And I know I like having that third voice, because I'm sorry you had to listen to Chris and I thought the first one was pretty good. I don't know
You
about
like
the second.
second one's gold. That's solid gold, baby.
Thank you to all the people that bought.
Oh,
I mean,
and all the feedback we've
the
received
feedback
is just amazing.
It was awesome.
Wait, what the fuck were you guys selling when I was gone?
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, you'll
Listen to the podcast.
Yes.
Go back and listen.
We need you to put more money in the account, because
if I'm not involved, I ain't listening. Fuck it.
So hold on a second. Who do we got coming up next week?
Oh, yeah,
Because we got another guest, and this guy's real exciting.
Trevor Edward Younger.
Yeah.
He's done, Coyote feature film, The Man in Room 6 feature film.
Which
he's
out now.
a professor at Webster University. Super talented guy, super cool, interesting guy.
Yeah.
Loves film as much as the rest of us.
He is Jackie in his movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jackie Kelly.
Just a great, honest conversation. He's just a great dude.
Yeah.
So make sure you listen into that. Follow him. Check out his stuff. But listen in next week. And, man, hopefully we're going to have I know we're going to have big news for you coming up.
Yeah, Red Night is very close.
And man, once we hit that, we're going to get into some pretty sucky shit.
One of the reasons we're doing this podcast, I know we like on our first episode, going way back then, however many weeks ago it was, the reason we did this is to let people get to know us, but also the inside baseball of independent filmmaking.
We laugh a lot, we joke a lot, and we talk about how indie film sucks. Hopefully people will take away from this, like, okay, I learned something about this process. I learned maybe what I shouldn't do, or I learned maybe I thought this was one way and it's actually not. So if we can save anyone from any of the grief we've gone through,
Save.
that's what I want to
No,
do.
that is key. That is key. Yes. So anyway, Greg, we've talked about a lot tonight.
We have.
We did talk about the. God, Greggy, you're slow. We've talked about the highs.
Oh yeah, the highs,
The
the lows, and the in between of true independent filmmaking on the Any Film Sucks podcast, brought to you by 88mm Productions. You know, all the social
Like and share.
and share.
And if you were one of the people out of the millions that didn't give us money, sorry, cut that. buy one of our things.
Buy DVD or wait,
Exactly.
buy download.
This is why I drink.
Yeah.
All right.
Denmark
Good
case.
night.
Indie film sucks. Indie film sucks. It's the Indie Film Sucks